The Environmental Protection Agency is expected to take some steps in the coming days to tighten restrictions on emissions standards. Listen to this. The proposed rule changes would require 2/3 of all new passenger vehicles sold in the U.S. to be electric by 2032. 9 years from now. California regulators are taking things a step further than that, too. Last year, they voted to ban the sale of new gasoline-powered cars by 2035 and set interim targets in California to phase those cars out entirely. The IRS says it wants to spend the $80 billion Congress gave it last year to make some big changes. The proposed plan would have the IRS hiring more than 7,000 new auditors in the next 2 years. The agency says that would help to step up enforcement and audit more wealthy people and corporations. The IRS also wants to improve customer service for all taxpayers. By the way, the deadline to file your federal income taxes is April 18th this year. That is a week from tomorrow. New signs that the labor market is cooling down. The March jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is the first one in 12 months to come in below expectations. Ivan Rodriguez is breaking down the numbers and what they mean for the Fed's campaign to try to chill inflation.
U.S. employers added 236,000 jobs in March, coming in below expectations, a labor market cool down that could actually be a good sign.
The Fed isn't going to publicly say we want job losses, but I think the Fed knows, and all the economists are there that know that if the unemployment rate stays at 3.5%, you're not likely to calm or tame inflation.
Industries like leisure and hospitality, healthcare and government continue to lead the way in job gains. The job losses are coming from sectors like manufacturing and construction. Still, the labor market has remained stubbornly resilient. The unemployment rate dropped to 3.5%, average hourly earnings grew 0.3% from the month before, and the cool down in hiring may not be enough to stop the Federal Reserve from raising interest rates again next month.
Inflation is extremely high, and it's hurting the working people of this country badly. And we are taking the only measures we have to bring inflation down.
The Fed is aiming to engineer a soft landing for inflation, but it's a difficult tightrope to walk.
My guess is that the process of bringing down inflation will bring on a recession at some stage, as it almost always has in the past.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Samsung is cutting its memory chip production after an estimated 96% drop in its quarterly operating profit. This all has to do with the pandemic, and you're wondering, wait, they're cutting memory chip production? We keep hearing there's a shortage of those. Well, during the pandemic, we were all buying up new electronics. That led to a chip shortage that we've heard so much about, which led to production really being ramped up to produce so many more of those chips. But now that demand has been dropping off, the chips are not getting used as often, so essentially the company is making all of those chips and they're just sort of sitting around. Investors are really hopeful that Samsung's announcement, though, is just a sign that the market recovery in the semiconductor industry is well underway and that companies will soon work through their existing chip inventory and kind of return to more normal purchasing patterns. That'd be neat. Across the country, billions of dollars are being poured into new factories. The Census Bureau says that construction related to manufacturing hit $108 billion last year. That is the most on record. A lot of these companies are onshoring again. That is more than was spent on schools, healthcare facilities, or offices. So look for that Made in the USA sign there on the things that you buy. A drought in Mexico could make it tougher to spice up your dinner. One of the biggest makers of sriracha sauce says that last year's drought there caused a shortage of the red jalapeno peppers, which are key to making that sauce. More workers are taking advantage of expanded family leave laws. The Wall Street Journal says in the 12 months ending in February, more than 400,000 people took parental leave each month. That is up more than 13% from a year earlier as people are using their time. Still ahead here on the news at 4 o'clock today, we are looking at a new trend called Bare Minimum Mondays and why some say it helps them to create a better work-life balance. But is it helping them get all the work done? We're going to get into that. Plus, fighting back against book bans, what one mother is doing to change things in her North Texas school district. It's next. All right, we're back to talk about a new trend here this afternoon. Maybe one that you do now or might want to try. It's called Bare Minimum Mondays. Some people might think of that as being kind of lazy, but as ABC's Rebecca Jarvis reports today, for others, this is all about setting boundaries.
Welcome to Bare Minimum Monday.
Do the bare minimum, advice you probably won't hear at work.
What's your bare minimum Monday?
Bare Minimum Mondays, a term coined by TikTok content creator Marissa Mays for easing into the work week, prioritizing self-care over productivity. The hashtag Bare Minimum Mondays racking up more than 2 million views.
I'm very familiar with hustle culture and the grind and doing everything all the time. So to have a mindset, to have a system to kind of give yourself a little bit of a break, I really resonated with that.
Physical therapist Logan Lynch decided she wouldn't take any patients on Mondays.
I have been trying to put into place boundaries around my work and knowing that it's okay to take a little extra rest time.
Mother of one and entrepreneur Juliana Walker says the Bare Minimum Monday strategy has helped her be more intentional with her time.
I started getting migraines on Mondays and I was overworking myself and burning myself up into the ground. So that's when I started scheduling doctor's appointments, haircuts, getting my nails done.
I think what I'm seeing at least is a trend that started with quiet quitting. And now we've got Bare Minimum Mondays and a big push towards a 4-day work week. It clearly is an indication that people are burned out and trying to find ways to re-energize themselves while doing the thing that they have to do, earn a paycheck.
According to a Gallup poll, 68% of Gen Z and younger millennials reported feeling stressed overall, more than their older counterparts, while 54% reported they also were not as engaged at work than their senior coworkers.
They're insisting on work-life balance and insisting that mental health is important. As a result of where they're at in this generation, they don't have a lot to lose by actually laying it out on the line and saying, I really want to have a better experience at work.
I'm totally trying that. The next 2 Mondays, I'll let you know how it works, if I'm still here.